Greetings, my saplings. Okay, so in today's video, I'm very excited because we are going to be talking about the Travis Scott Jordan 4s, also known as the Cactus Jack Jordan 4s. To be more specific, like always in these How to Cop guides, you guys already know what's up. We're going to be talking about some release info for the shoes, how to cop them, and of course, some resale predictions. To kick it off with some release info, these shoes are now going to be releasing on June 9th. There was a date before where people were saying it was going to be June 23rd, and to be quite honest with you, we might actually see some retailers still release these on the 23rd, but for the majority of the retailers, which honestly isn't a lot, unfortunately, they will be releasing on June 9th. The retail for these shoes will be $225, which is kind of steep, but honestly, it's 100% worth it, guys. Whether you're reselling the shoe or, like me, you're just trying to rock this shoe because it absolutely looks beautiful. So the inspiration for this shoe just essentially came from Travis just being a huge fan of the Houston Oilers. Also, the nickname Cactus Jack comes from Cactus Jack Recordings, obviously. And from what I've been hearing, there's apparently 12 to 15K pairs. Okay, so with the release info out of the way, let's get into how to cop these shoes. So the first thing we're actually going to be talking about is the foot apps. Now, usually we have the Foot Locker app getting them, we have Foot Action getting them, and we also have Champs getting them. Unfortunately for this release, only Foot Action is going to be getting them. If you go onto the release calendar for Foot Locker, if you go onto the release calendar for Champs, there's nothing on the 9th about these Jordan 4s. Of course, if something turns up, I'm going to keep you guys updated, so make sure you turn on post notifications. Also, if I don't get a chance, I'll just give you a tweet via my Twitter so I can remind you to sign up or whatever. But as of now, the only release calendar that has these listed is Foot Action, and Foot Action says that it's going to be an in-store only release. So evidently this is going to be just like what the Jeters were, where the Jeters released as a Champs exclusive, where these will be a Foot Action exclusive only. Considering there's so few pairs and considering only one place out of all the foot stores are getting them, I want to make sure that you guys have the best chance possible. Alright guys, I got a lot of new stuff that I wanted to talk to you about the Foot Action app. However, before that, I'm actually going to be talking about the Nike Sneakers app, and we'll go back to this a little later. The reason I'm doing this is simply because after speaking with a Foot Action employee, there are going to be very, very few locations, so I feel like based off of time management, I know a lot of you guys have things to do. I'm going to talk about sneakers first because I feel like that affects most of you. And then right after that, if you still want to stick around, I'll be talking about resale predictions and Foot Action. Let's jump right back into it. Moving on though to Nike Sneakers. Obviously on Nike Sneakers, these are listed for the 9th. However, I wanted to mention it is definitely possible for them to do another surprise drop. I'm not saying it's likely, but just to make sure that you don't miss out on anything. Even those Zoom flies that are supposed to come out on the 14th, they could do a surprise drop. So I just want to make sure that you, one, either have the J23 app, or you could also just follow Solinks on Twitter. Make sure you have on notifications for them. They will tweet out whenever something like this goes live. And of course, if you don't trust any of them, you can also just get a page monitor and say Visual Ping actually does send you emails. So if you want to check them out, that's fine too. However, I do find that a lot of these free page monitors, they do unfortunately have a slight delay to them. But I just wanted to make sure you guys were prepared for surprise drops, obviously. But more importantly, on the 9th, what I'm expecting them to do is either a draw or a first come, first serve. So let's go over both. Starting with the first come, first serve, it's not actually a first come, first serve. And I've mentioned this more in depth a few months ago in this video right here, where essentially it's just a process where what you should be doing is using multiple accounts, buying, and it's still a randomized process, even though you still want to be as fast as possible, because they give you a certain time window that's about like 2 to 4 minutes or so. Once everyone's submitted payment, they start selecting winners for the shoe. For first come, first serve releases, we have seen that you can use the same exact address. I proved this to you guys by ordering multiple pairs of the Homage to Homes to my same house, and obviously I had no problem receiving them. For every account though, unfortunately, you will need different phone numbers. All you really have to do is just message a friend, say, hey, can you send over that verification code? It's as simple as that. If you don't have any friends whatsoever, what you can do is just add a +1 in front of your phone number. And now what this is going to do, it's going to allow you to create the account. However, these accounts will expire within a couple of hours to days. So I don't really recommend doing it this way. However, if it's your only option, obviously go that route. Also, for email addresses, I know for a lot of raffles, I recommend doing the +1, +2 jig, where essentially you just add a +1, or it could be a plus 50, plus 77. There's no cap. It could be any random number right before the @gmail.com. However, Nike Sneakers is the only place I recommend just creating authentic emails just to be safe. Now, one thing that I did not mention in this video that I keep referring to, I did not mention that you can get IP banned. You can have up to 3 accounts without getting IP banned. Obviously, if you have more accounts, it's going to increase your chances even more. So what you could do for that is simply use a VPN and change the location every single time. And if you don't want to get a VPN, just simply use multiple devices all on long-term evolution, so they will have separate gateways. And of course, if they don't do a first come first serve release, where it's not actually a first come first serve release, if they don't do it this way, what they will most likely do is a draw, where essentially it's the same exact process, but the difference is they give you a set time. Instead of it being around 2 to 4 minutes to enter everything in, it's simply just going to be a draw where it counts down from 10 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes. The only difference for this one, I'm not exactly sure if you can use the same address. So just to be safe, guys, what I would personally recommend is that you alter the address just slightly. For instance, if the last word of your address is road or say it's street, you could do ST dot, maybe spell it wrong. The characters just simply have to be different. Also, if you don't live in an apartment, if you live in a house, you could do this. When it says address line 2, just add a 1A, 1B, maybe 2C, 2A, just so it looks like they're separate apartment buildings, so you can make multiple entries without the algorithm catching that it's the same address. But when they do ship it to you, obviously they could tell that it's just a house and they'll just leave it at your steps. So that will conclude the Nike Sneakers portion of the video. Okay, so now with Nike Sneakers out of the way, we're going to go back to what we were speaking on initially, which is the foot apps. More specifically, today we're going to be talking about foot action, but of course, it works for anything. More importantly, though, you can use these cool tips that I'm going to be sharing with you for any shoe that's essentially going to be releasing on the foot apps. So let's start off with the basics. Obviously, you want to go into your foot app, go to launch locator, then you click on the shoe, you sign up. You want to make sure that you get that 1 minute head start, and I'm going to give you guys a pro tip. If you really want to help out some of your friends, guys, here's what you got to do to give them that extra minute, and they won't even have to come to the mall. So the first thing you're going to want to do is click on Earn Head Starts. You click on the 1 minute check-in. You got to make sure your Bluetooth is actually off, and then you have to click somewhere along the lines where it says don't have access to the beacon. Click here or tap here. You tap there and you'll see a bunch of digits where you could type in a 4-digit PIN number. All you got to do when you go to the mall is go up to the people working there and simply say, hey, my Bluetooth doesn't happen to be working today. Do you mind giving me the PIN number? Now, a couple of these guys can be a little bit stubborn and annoying, and they'll say, fine, I'll do it, but I need your phone, because they know that obviously people are sending these codes to their friends and stuff. So here's what you got to do to outsmart them. All you got to do is make sure that you're screen recording. If your phone doesn't already have this built in, there are plenty of free apps for screen recorders. You know, once you have it installed, you just slide up, tap record, and what it's actually going to do is when they tap in the code, it will capture all the imprints, so when they hand you the phone back, you could stop the recording, play it back, and see all the imprints, and obviously record all the numbers down on a piece of paper. And then, of course, you can just text it over to your friends. Now, here's one thing. If they're not within your zip code, this isn't going to work for them. However, there is a way around it. For instance, let's say I'm in Colorado, but my friend who I'm trying to help out is all the way in California, and say there's a location hypothetically in both of those areas. All my friend would have to do is change his zip code temporarily, click on the mall that I'm going to be going to, or to the store that I'm going to be going to, then put in the PIN number as he sets that as his location, and once he's done with that, once he already gets the full extra minute head start, then after that, he can change his location back to what it initially was, and he will still have that extra minute head start and all of his original locations. Simple as that. One of the main reasons I'm giving you this tip, guys, is because obviously this is a very limited shoe, and there's going to be very limited locations. Obviously, if you win the shoe, you might be willing to make a 4-hour drive to get them, or a 3-hour drive to get them, but you might not be willing to make a 3-hour drive just to get a minute head start, which doesn't guarantee you anything. Now, aside from that pro tip, I also wanted to mention, obviously, you want to make sure you have that 3-minute head start that you get from spending $300 or more, or I believe for foot action, it may potentially be $225. Either way, though, you want to have even more than that spent if that's possible. You should have around like $1,000 to $5,000 spent, and you're saying, whoa, Keith, I don't have that kind of money to spend. Well, don't worry, you don't really need that kind of money to spend at all. All you really have to do is buy shoes that aren't going to resell for a ton of profit, to the point where you're just about gonna break even, all you gotta do is just sell them, maybe take $1 loss or $5 loss on each of them. But the point is that you get your numbers up on the Foot app, which will inevitably increase your chances for winning future shoes that you actually want for reselling purposes or you want for personal wear. It's all about investments, guys. If you want to take a $5 loss here and there, it might be worth it for these Travis Scott 4s that are going to be worth way more than that. Okay, so with the Foot apps out of the way, and obviously we're going to see a lot of raffles getting these shoes, some first come first serves, and I am going to be making an updated video like I always do for most hyped shoes, so definitely turn on post notifications so you're updated for that. For example, I don't exactly know what End Clothing is going to be doing. I know that they're getting them, I just don't know if they're going to be releasing them, say, on the 23rd. Maybe they'll do a raffle for the 9th, because as of now, they're not even on the calendar for End Clothing. But with all the how to cop info out of the way, let's talk about some resale predictions. Do I think they're going to sell out? Absolutely. Do I think that they're going to resell? Absolutely. There's around 12 to 15K pairs of these, which is very, very low stock. The How Much to Homes had around 26 to 30K pairs, and they're reselling. And also, obviously, there's tons of demand on these. So despite that high retail, that premium retail of $225, I still think that there's plenty of room for very heavy profit. You can potentially even double your money, and I think that that's actually what's going to happen. If not, potentially even more. Honestly, I don't plan on selling this shoe at all. I'm really just trying to get a personal pair because I really do like this shoe. Of course, if you want to resell it, that's fine. You can definitely expect to make a lot of profit. If you're wondering how much I think they're going to go for, honestly, it really doesn't matter, guys. It's going to be profit no matter what. But just to spew out a number, I guess I could say around like 600, maybe around 500, because I believe they're sitting at 650 to 700 now. But who knows? They could be a little more than that. But with that, I'll conclude the video. Feel free to leave a like if you learned something, if you perhaps enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you're 100% updated on these and every other hyped shoe. But with that, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later.
Why are you always in my way, knocking me over every single day? Get your foot off my foot, ah.
Get your foot off my foot, yeah!
I should have run the other way. Now there's just one thing to say. Get your foot off my foot, ah.